location
This
podcast.
is it. On the road.
Wow. On the road.
Awesome.
First
The
on the inaugural. There it is. I don't even know what episode this is.
I have no idea.
Plus 100s. I know that.
Yeah, we've done at least 105.
Yep.
6.
Yep. So we got myself, Jim Hensel, Captain Chandler Smith,
Forget about that part sometimes.
Captain John Murphy. We are here at Fort Knox, and we have not seen the gold yet. Do you guys seen the Mobile Leprechaun?
Yes.
And so we're on the way, and I just was like, "Give me the gold. Where's the gold at?" And these guys were like, "What are you talking about?" I was like,
That's a
"What?"
shame.
So I had to show
You guys
them.
weren't on the internet?
I had to show them. You probably haven't seen
We've
it.
mentioned a lot of things, and
You've
have
never
not caught
heard that
on.
one?
Yeah. No,
yes, but the rest
this
of the
was in the
group-
truck on the way here. Scott hadn't ever seen Mobile Leprechaun, and Luke had never seen the Mobile Leprechaun, and I was like,
Well, you're in good hands
What?
here. We are
Okay, good.
We're an internet
Good.
people.
"Good."
I'm seriously frustrated about this whole "Where's the gold" thing because now I've asked all the way from
was as soon
from
as
a
you came in.
sergeant all the way to the lieutenant colonel.
And
About-
they didn't give you a straight answer?
No, none of you guys have given us straight answers. It's all been maybe, sort of. I don't know. There's guards up there. There might be landmines.
We could tell you, but then
We'd have to
we'd
kill
have
you.
to kill you.
Oh.
Just kidding.
But seriously,
The people are going to want to know. We're at Fort Knox. Is there any gold up there?
Murph, they want to know.
I don't think anybody actually knows. There was a James Bond film that showed that there was gold here at some point.
Do you know how crazy that answer is? Nnobody knows.
Nobody
I do not
knows.
accept that.
sounds like my dad.
I don't accept
Sounds like
that.
a hashtag, a Rich Froning Senior hashtag. Nobody knows. Is that what it is?
I feel like
Is that where you got
I
it
feel
from?
like somebody knows.
Well, someone has
Somebody
to. for sure.
has to, but
Who do
Just
they?
above your
my pay grade.
above your pay grade. Okay.
I don't know.
What I want to know is who put these 24-inch boxes because my feet are dangling like
That's
a
why
child.
I'm sitting at the edge, man.
Is that- okay,
That's
is
why I
that
sit
the
at the
move?
edge. I said we got to have a better setup for tomorrow. Like, I
20-inch
think I'd rather
boxes.
sit on an assault bike than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're here, U.S. Army Warrior Fitness. Gonna do some fitness stuff. What is U.S. Army Warrior Fitness, guys?
So the Warrior Fitness Team
Yep.
is an initiative by Army USAREC, which is the recruiting command that we fall underneath. And one of the biggest hangups with soldiers these days, or recruits, is finding a fit enough population. And so they recruited us to try to find that population, but to relate to them and show them that we as soldiers still have lives outside of being a soldier, and being in the Army has many benefits to it. So we go out, compete, and try to show the people of the United States that we have lives outside of just normal day-to-day Army stuff, and that being in the military isn't that bad.
Nice.
Yeah, we talk a lot about like our Army story. So within the team, we have folks who come from all sorts of different jobs. Murph's a logistician by trade. I'm an armor officer, so I did tanks. So we have a wide variety of Army experiences with which to share, but then also because it's getting progressively harder to find recruits who are able to make it through the medical process, who are fit enough to join and who understand the kind of the team building skills and some of the stuff that's at the heart of being a soldier that you get by being part of a team or by doing something like CrossFit or some sort of fitness activity. We go out and connect with those folks, and generally speaking, we're able to get a higher quality of recruit in the spaces that we kind of work in, and hopefully those folks take the lessons they've learned from our spaces and then pass it on to their Army units when they join. So that's kind of the other piece of it. It's just like
awesome.
a targeted recruiting effort, and so far I think it's worked out pretty well.
So you have a CrossFit team. You have strong men and women.
Yes, so we have 12 CrossFit athletes and 3 strong men and women, 2 strong men, 1 strong woman. Sergeant First Class Anthony Furman, Sergeant Justin Loy, and Staff Sergeant Gabrielle Bergholzer, all very big into the strongman scene, winning titles all over the place. And so right now those are kind of the 2 areas that we focus on, is functional fitness and then strongman.
I was throwing that 300-pound sandbag around back there earlier.
I sat on it.
Super nice.
I used
Yeah.
it. That would have
You
been a
guys were crushing
comfortable
it.
stool.
Yeah.
It would have
actually.
been. It's the right
Problem is
height.
we would have had to move it in here.
If my
Someone
life
could've-
depended on
Jim
it, I
could've
could
moved
pick
it.
that
Jim
up.
could've
He
moved
was
it. I thought I
moving
saw
it.
you
He could have
move it.
shouldered it
Yeah.
and brought it over
I
here.
tripped over it.
Oh,
That counts. That's probably the most moved since it's got there. It's like a
Huge.
It's an ornament at this point more than it is a fitness.
we've got a
implement.
couple things at the barn that are ornaments. You're just like, they're like, Rogue will send us cool stuff for Christmas or whatever, and it's like a strongman dumbbell. The thing, to grab the dumbbells as big as my calf.
Yeah.
They're like, you ever use that? I'm like,
No.
no. I move it from here to there. Whenever if we clean the barn, every once in a while. So.
Absolutely.
I heard somebody say you had a video game. Explain that.
E-sport.
We do,
E-sport.
yeah. So kind of our sister platoon inside of the recruiting outreach company is the e-gamers. And so we have esports, and so they play a wide variety of games, and they do that all over the world. And basically the same thing that we're trying to do. They're trying to show that soldiers, they have hobbies outside of being just a soldier, and they can do a lot of great things in the Army while still having a personality.
What are some of the big hang-ups that you see when you're recruiting now? I mean, you guys are trying to reach out and this message to the culture. What are some of the hang-ups when you're recruiting people?
I think the fitness one is the one that we see the most. So just progressively, the percentage of Americans who are overweight or obese continues to rise. And so even as a platoon leader, like the general level of fitness or the amount of guys I had who joined up my platoon who never played sports, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, I don't know how you grew up and never had the opportunity to do these things, or it just seems like what is culturally acceptable or like the most common practice is kind of more in that video game field versus going outside and things like that. So as a big organization, we find like the bone density for some of these incoming recruits is lower than it used to be in generations past. But then from our level, it just finds like that their hobbies and how they engage in fitness activities is different than it used to be. So, and I know I'm looking at it from like a fitness perspective, but just kind of finding folks who have that, what I thought was a universal kind of approach to fitness, at least growing up. Like, you guys didn't play basketball?
You didn't go outside?
Played basketball? Like,
climb a tree?
So, it's kind of different. But that's kind of the good thing about the esports team, too. Like, we're a more targeted effort for people who are more likely to be qualified candidates. But because video gaming is the most popular hobby among, military-age males and females, then you're going to find, some good recruits within that population group as well.
What's your job look like? I mean, what's your day look like?
So we normally start, everybody kind of has a secondary role in the team. We all train, but everybody has some secondary roles. Murph works media for us. We've got folks who are specifically dedicated to administrative side of things. I do like coaching and programming stuff. So we come in, 08:30 is normally when we start our first session, and we'll normally be in here around 8. We'll talk through whatever it is that we're doing for the morning. First session lasts till around 10. If you get breakfast and lunch, depending on how you're eating for the day, folks will eat, fuel up at that point. I'll go over the numbers for what everybody hit for the day, whatever other administrative work we have to do during the day, like answering your Army emails or helping square away purchases or things of that nature, making sure that your trips are lined up, kind of just the random busy work stuff, doing appointments, goes in the middle of the day. And then around 12:30, we'll get ready for the second session. Second session starts at 1300, and we're here until 17, because that's pretty consistently like an Army close of business. So we try to run it as much as we can like a normal Army unit. We have training meetings once a week. There's also the Army is really big on in-person meetings and syncing up over Zoom these days. So we still have our fair share of meetings for making sure that the relevant players within different spaces are connecting. There's a media meeting. You'll have like your training meeting. You'll have training meetings at higher levels and all sorts of other stuff like that.
So are all your athletes on this base, or are they on different bases?
The only at-large athletes we have right now, we have Lieutenant Colonel Tony Kurz, who's one of our Masters athletes, who competes in a lot of Masters CrossFit competitions. And then we have Captain Dan Hughes, who's one of our strongmen, but he's an at-large athlete as well. So he's not here, but we'll sponsor him to go to events and things of that nature to represent us.
I thought PT started at 0600.
So traditionally it does. We have a neurologist.
Giving you a hard time.
No, you're right. We start at 6:30. Most places.
Yeah, 6:30.
But you're there earlier. Early is on time. On time is late. Late is unacceptable. All that jazz. We have a neurologist on the team, and like as part of the fact that we are trying to compete against professional athletes and stuff, we end up having to take like the sleep more seriously and stuff. So
darn, hate that, huh?
Yeah, it is unfortunate. Like I know I'm every morning when I wake up, 'cause I still wake up at 06 just because of standards, as well as discipline.
Yeah, you want to be there for everybody.
Yep. So I'm there, just reading the Army song, reciting and everything. But there's a tinge of guilt in my heart that my life is easy. So.
But we don't get started till 8:30.
8:30 is about what happens in Cookeville as well. Yeah. So
great minds.
Fit right in.
Sometimes we roll into.
Except for that's just because my kids get up that early and wake me up. So
I wish I had a kid alarm.
No, you don't.
No.
Okay. I don't wish I had a kid alarm.
I don't know. Some of the
you wish you had
stories we've been
kids,
hearing,
but you don't wish you had a
the
kid
greatest kid in the
alarm.
world.
There's nothing good about a kid alarm.
They seem super entertaining.
Oh, they're awesome until I love my kids so much until it's 10 p.m. or was it 2200?
Oh,
good math.
0800.
got it.
Hey.
Then I hate them. No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Not really. But
I made it to,
they're
like-
hard at night. That's the hardest. Honestly, for me as an athlete, no joking aside, losing sleep has been having kids. That's the hardest for me out of anything with my kids from an athlete perspective. My kids are pretty easy to they run around. They let me do pretty much whatever I need to training wise, but sleep, they just don't understand that. It's like, hey, Dad,
Selfish.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Give me a bottle or change my diaper in the middle of the night.
You don't have a choice. You got to get up.
Gotta get up.
I made it to like about 16 or 17 when my youngest one was about 17, and I love my kids.
Yeah.
But I started to lose grace. And I've just now kind of recovered to where I'm having fun with Rich's kids now. Like I'm literally to the grandpa
As long as they're
age
not
now.
yours,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
Like-
and you get to leave too. You get
I
to get
do.
them all
I have a
wired
blast
up
with them,
and
get them
then-
round up, and then I can go home, and then he has to take them and deal with them, and it's kind of fun.
Spurts.
They
Yeah,
love
spurts.
They love.
You guys aren't
Uncle
married or
Jim.
have kids or anything like that?
Nope.
All
None of
right.
us.
Okay.
Not yet.
No, kids are awesome, but yeah, that's my only drawback with kids is sleep. I'm just like, man, I turn into a jerk dad too in the middle of the night. I'm like, go to sleep. What are you doing?
Oh, isn't it like a form of torture? Like
Sleep
Sleep
deprivation.
Deprivation? Yeah.
for
He'd know. So Murph's not going to brag himself, but Murph is Ranger qualified.
Oh, nice.
US Army.
Yeah.
Rangers. He's the only one we have on the team, and Ranger School's kind of a big deal within the Army.
Yeah.
So he knows
Is that
thing or
Ranger
two about
tab?
Yeah.
Did you have to go through some of that? Stuff you in a box, leave you there. I don't know. What do they do?
There's like two things that they say. There's either hungry rangers or sleepy rangers,
Right.
because they deprive you of food and sleep. So those are the two big ones. But yeah, it's
Which one were you?
kind of get used to it. Which one was I? Hungry ranger for sure.
How long
Sleep
is,
wasn't a big deal. You still know it.
I was going to say, how long is the qualification?
62 days. But that's if you go straight through.
Yeah.
A lot of people get recycled back
roll back.
phases and stuff of that. And so I think I spent 75 days there.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
Exactly 3 years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, pretty close. So
That's
That's
awesome.
legit.
running up, yeah,
Heck yeah. Where's that at?
good memories. So you start at Fort Benning, Georgia,
Uh-huh.
and you kind of work in and around that area, travel into South Georgia, and then Tennessee, and then into Florida.
What
for
time of
Florida
year was that
phase.
for you?
I started in March.
Okay.
And then that was pre-Ranger, started in March, and then moved in through the summer.
Okay.
So-
Miserable hot too, probably humid, nasty.
For
Yeah.
sure. As soon as you get down to Florida,
Yeah.
last phase, and that's your longest time out there
Ugh.
without coming back, and it's really hot
Yuck-
down there.
yucky.
So yeah, very gnarly.
Sticky.
How'd you guys get into CrossFit? What's the stories
I
there?
think we have decently different stories. I got in as a cadet. We had one of our upperclassmen got us into it just as a way to stay in shape for military. And so I always used CrossFit as a way to get in shape for military schools or training or whatever it was, deployment, to make sure I was in as good a shape as I could possibly be. I never did it originally to compete or anything like that, or try to be the fittest person out there. I just wanted to be in shape, and CrossFit seemed like the most well-rounded way to do that. A lot of the movements that we do here mimic things that we do, whether you're in the motor pool or in an infantry line unit. And so I always did it for military. And then as I progressed into it, started getting into competing. But yeah, I think we have a little bit different stories, and I think everybody does.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd started a little bit earlier in high school, summer 2010, going into I guess it was going into my junior year, 2009 or something. I'd seen a sectionals video, like Spencer Hendel doing some snatch or something, and I think I'd researched like military training or something, just Google like a high school kid would do, and that CrossFit came up. I saw the video and I started to get into it, doing it in my basement and everything, and I actually lucked into helping a guy build one of the first affiliates out in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because I met him at a 24-hour fitness, and he saw me trying to do like an open workout my senior year, and he was like, "I can tell you're like trying to do CrossFit, but you're terrible. If you teach me, if you come with me, I can teach you." Clearly, he didn't do a good job of teaching me. There's a lot of movements and stuff.
You're all right. You're all right.
Yeah, so then I just used it to stay in shape. I wrestled all 4 years at West Point. I would do it on like in the summers and stuff. There's not a lot of clubs of people to wrestle and everything, so that was like my way of staying in shape, and kept it going from there.
That's awesome. Yes, you said West Point. So you were, what year did you graduate West Point?
2015.
Nice. That's awesome. When is Army Navy game? It's
normally like
coming up.
second
right?
week of December.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's coming up.
So it's the last game of the year.
last
isn't it?
game
Like the
for
last
both
college
of them, right?
game.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be on a campus this year, I heard.
Yeah, it's the
because
first
open.
time.
Since World War II, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's up at, it's pretty cool for us. My brother's a senior up there. It's
Oh,
not
heck
as
yeah.
cool for him because he's been stuck there the whole time.
Oh yeah.
They don't get to leave. But as an old grad, everything's always there's this joke among West Pointers that the core has. They always say the core has gotten easier, and they'll always just use that to reference things getting easier. And I know that I had it way harder than him, so I think it's good for his standards and discipline.
There you go, discipline.
Yep.
It's a big deal, right? That football game. I mean, you kind of
Very much
imagine
so.
it is, but
Are you gonna go?
President Trump. I'm not. I mean, not this year. I'm not allowed
this year.
to. But
Oh yeah.
I think President Trump was there last year. Normally, I think more often than not, the sitting president comes, or there's more generals there than anywhere besides the Pentagon for that one day.
That's
so
cool.
it's a really good event. If you guys ever get a chance to go,
Yeah,
highly
that'd be
recommend.
I
really
went to
cool to
the
see.
Notre Dame Navy game. When was that? Let's say 15 or something like that. It was a pretty cool
Hopefully
experience
Navy
as well.
lost.
Yeah, they did.
Good, outstanding. Love that.
did Army win last year? I can't remember. I'm trying to remember
No.
back.
They did.
I mean,
Nah.
I'm not actually. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm actually just trying to remember.
We'd had a good win streak. I gotta figure out a way
Go
to
ahead.
spin this.
Yep,
And
yep, yep,
There
spin it.
was a win streak.
Spin it.
And I believe it is currently not active in favor of the Army team. So I won't say who won or lost, but it's just
Right.
Gotcha.
Coast Guard came in at the last minute.
yeah, they might have. They're Division
Actually,
Three.
they have a really good team this year. I saw
Division
that.
3.
Yeah, they are.
Are they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was they had a football team.
They have actually a really good school, honestly.
There's a Coast Guard Academy.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
Yeah.
Dude, they
Yeah.
said I could play football and wrestle. I would have been the coolest kid on campus.
I did get to go to the Air Force Academy one time.
It's
and it was
beautiful.
beautiful. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
We went to NORAD
Yeah.
and did that whole deal.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
that's a cool
They don't have
place.
gold there either, but they have
they
some
do not.
underground stuff. That's pretty cool. It's out in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, yeah. I've been up there to the academy a
Colorado
couple times.
Springs.
Yeah.
Used to
I was stationed there.
Oh, were you? Did you do the climb? The
The
Manitou
incline.
climb?
Oh, the
over
Manitou incline?
Dude.
Yeah.
Did you
that
do
was
it?
awful.
Did.
Heck yeah.
Holy smokes!
It
yeah.
was terrible.
Yeah, most units out there make their soldiers do it for PT.
Nice.
And so you'll do it every couple months. But yeah.
It's nasty.
Big time quad pump, and then the elevation
Yeah,
change too.
the elevation changed, and
Sneaks
then
up on
the false summit too.
Oh,
Luckily,
man.
I knew about
You're
the false
counting
summit. Yeah.
Counting the stairs. They
Yeah.
have the numbers on there. And you're like, how many is
Yeah,
it?
but what is it? Where are we at? Yeah, you've never done that?
No, I
Colorado
never did that. I
Springs?
mean, I've been up there a bunch of
Yeah.
times, but
Do you know what it is?
yeah.
Yeah, I do it
yeah.
at least once.
100%.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
it
you
at
need to do it
once.
once. It's awesome.
Yeah, both my kids have done it. They've told me about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's your neck of the. So were you at Carson then?
I was.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I went out there because what's the Air Force base out there?
Lowry.
Peterson.
Is it? No, Peterson. That's
Yep,
right.
I was out at
Peterson.
Peterson and Carson, and then went to NORAD and got to hang out there. So
Awesome.
beautiful. Colorado's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I loved it up there.
That's awesome. So wrestled.
Yes. Yep. 4 years, academic, All-American, team captain, but actually wasn't good. So mostly wrestling. Unlike I don't know. I think there's different ways to approach CrossFit. Actually, I'd say I approach CrossFit pretty similarly. Kind of brute force my way through things. Right.
Happens. Yeah.
It's not pretty. It's not effective, but it's pretty effective, and that's kind of how I wrestled.
Yeah.
Not very technical, but if you're strong and fast, and
That's all my family. My cousins were all from. I was born in Michigan, and also all my family still lives up there.
Big
So
time
wrestling is
Yeah.
huge up there. So that's all my cousins did was wrestled. And so you met Darren, right? My cousin Darren.
Yes. Yeah.
He was a wrestler, real good
I
too.
know that.
Yeah.
I would say it's not too late for you, but we can always get the kids started. So
That's
you
true.
need
That's
somebody
true.
to help coach and
Yeah,
everything.
we actually talked about maybe having Lake start some jujitsu just to she's super athletic and she just needs something to do.
Yeah.
And so we actually looked at doing some. You
Great
do some
sport.
jujitsu, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
Except for she's going to choke Trice out for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm telling you, Trice will flip that switch. There's been a couple times where he's no soft target, and Hillary gets so mad at me because I just let him wrestle.
Yeah.
I'm like, as long as no kicking, no biting, and no throwing punches, but grapple, whatever.
Kids be
And she had sisters, so she didn't really grow up in a house of wrestling, and so she's like, stop it, stop it, stop it. And one time, Trice, Lakeland, what'd she do? He grabbed her bag. They were kind of fighting. And he just runs up and grabs her bag from her. It was like an overnight bag she was going to stay with my mom. And so Lakeland just jumps on him with Trice. And he's 2.5 years younger, flips over and hands on the throat.
Oh,
And I was like,
Got
okay, I like it. And Hillary's freaking out. This is your fault. This is your fault. I'm like, all right.
my dad, he was kind of similar. I think he turned our house into an amateur fight club.
Yep.
My younger brother is 2.5 years younger than me, but he came out of the womb already my size.
Yeah.
So I was fighting for dominance early on. It's
Yep.
actually why I started wrestling.
Yep.
Aside from being terrible in basketball.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
it wouldn't even be fair to classify it as we fought a lot. I think it was one continuous fight for 16 years.
Yeah.
That left when I left the house. We just broke every wall in the house and every bone in each other's bodies.
I
Good
can't
training.
imagine having two of Trice. Like, I've got my girls, and I thought Lakeland's high energy. She's wide open, but Trice is just destructive. And so I can't imagine two.
Little boys. There's 3 of us, too. So.
Oh, yeah.
The little one was mostly like an implement, though. He was
get
getting
shoved.
thrown. Yeah.
That's like my aunt had 6 boys.
That's awesome.
And everything, anytime you'd show up for Christmas, 3 months later you showed back up, and you'd be like, hey, where'd the toy you got for Christmas? Oh, that's long broken. It's crazy. So, yeah, I get it now. You know, I was hard on stuff too, but man, Trice is just
Trice is like kind of next level too. I've been around a lot of little kids.
High energy.
He's high energy, man. He's
I'm hearing a
smiling
lot
and
of
he's
good things
happy.
about
But
Trice.
Yeah, I was just saying, I
he's
can't wait to
wild.
meet him.
I've heard. Did
Yeah.
you not meet him when you were out there?
We heard a lot of
You
good
didn't
things
come out
about
there?
him.
Man, I'm telling you, that kid, he's fun, but he is something else.
I was gone. You came up and trained in Cookville a little bit.
Came up for a day.
Yeah, briefly. I got like
Coach Bergner was there.
Coach Bergner.
You had a
was there.
little thing going on with your knee, and so you were like, all right. And then Dave called him and was like, hey, I need you for the demo team. So he's like, peace out, Cookville. I'm going to
Well,
California.
that's right. I did see you the last day.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh yeah, we
That's right.
got caught up and everything.
Yeah.
It's good, dude.
You had a good You had a good year, a good season.
Real good season.
Talk about that a little
Real
bit.
good season.
I didn't make it to the final stage.
Yeah, but
It was close. Though.
It was. I guess it was good. Like I learned
Yeah,
a lot,
heck yeah.
all that stuff, a lot of positivity. I learned. Most importantly, I think I learned what I can continue to do better next year, and like some of the stuff outside of the gym that I need to take more seriously.
I understand the being hard on yourself, but you did good. You did a good
Thanks.
job.
Still the 6th fittest man in
Yeah, it's
the
not.
world.
That's
no,
epic. That's
yeah,
a big
heck
deal.
yeah.
What are your plans for the future? I mean, what's it look like for you in life?
Getting out of the Army in February, so I have 97 days, give or take 0. So
Who's
How many
counting?
hours? Seconds?
Yeah.
Minutes?
No, that
Just
would
kidding.
imply that I'm not excited to leave. I'll miss the team and these folks here tremendously. But yeah, I don't really have a plan, which is not the best thing that people want to hear, because whenever your soldiers are getting out, you're like, hey, what's your plan? If they don't have a plan, you're like, hey, you really need a plan. And this is like 6 months to a year out.
Yeah.
And my bosses and stuff have been like, hey, what's your plan? I said, yeah, for sure. Like, no, like we're asking you a question. Anyway, so right now I'm looking at living in a van down by the river.
Living in a van.
down by the river.
I love it.
I'm glad you got
That
there
guy.
first.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
So scout out some vans, some rivers.
All right, I
Should
got
be
it.
good to go.
We got a couple rivers in Cookville. Dad has a van. There you go.
Match made in heaven, bro.
Hook up.
Mayhem van. Yeah. No, man, I'm with you. I'm not a planner either. It sometimes drives people crazy, but we're here.
Yeah,
You know?
I think it's worked out.
We're here. We're having fun. So
Yeah. So, but you're going to stay after it and keep training.
yeah,
and
still training. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully continue to progress and use every ounce of talent I've got in this, and yeah, max that out. I think
That's
that's
awesome.
kind of as long as whenever it's done, because it could happen tomorrow, I could slip and hurt something or
Yep.
anything. I just want to be able to end it and say, like, I gave everything I had for it, and I maximized, what I could do with my body and also what I could do with my influence. I'm being a good example and all these other things. I'm really lucky I've been around pro sports my whole life. Dad played in the NFL for 8 years. He's been a coach in the NFL for the last 20. And just being around those type of folks, like, I think I was able to kind of like build up like what I want to do if I ever have the chance to have an athletic platform. And so far I've been able to execute on it, and I'm just grateful. I want to continue to keep using that to.
I know both Rich and I really respect and admire people in the military, men and women who are serving. How'd you get started, wanting to be in the military? What's that story like?
So for me, actually, on my mom's side, the family's pretty heavy military. Grandfather, her sister, every single cousin in existence on that side is military. And my dad grew up in Enterprise, which is outside of Fort Rucker, where we train our Army aviators who fly all the different helicopter platforms and everything. So the family's always been hyper close to everything military. And early on, I started wrestling my freshman year, and our coach at the time, our assistant coach, Nage Damus, was an ex-West Point wrestler, and our team captain that year was also getting ready to head to West Point, and that's kind of what like pushed me in that direction. I won't say I was ever like hyper Army focused or anything, but I knew I wanted to go to West Point if this was a place where
Heck yeah.
people got challenged
Yeah.
and like got after it. So that was kind of what pushed me in that direction. I would say like when I was 6 years old, that was the first time I told my mom I was going to do it, but it kind of never really revisited it until high school, and
That's awesome.
led me here.
John, you?
Kind of quite the opposite. Everybody on my dad's side, dad, grandfather, into the extended family, served in the military. And so growing up, it was always one of those things like I think I knew I was going to do. My dad never talked too much about it, but we'd ask him questions, me and my brothers, and we'd talk about it. And so I think from a very young age, like I was pushed in that direction, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I liked the things that he had done in the military, and I liked the stories that I heard about the professionals that he'd worked with and the great things they've done around the world, and I knew that it was something I wanted to do, and I still solely believe in that purpose, and so that's why I wanted to serve.
It's awesome. That's fantastic.
My grandfather, Dad's dad, was a U.S. in the Army for 4 years, I guess. After it was Vietnam era, but he didn't go to Vietnam. He was in what's the base in Kansas?
Fort Riley.
He was at Fort Riley.
Big Red One.
There you go.
Toast the Army.
Yep,
Favorite.
he was an engineer. Yep. So went to Notre Dame, graduated from Notre Dame.
Awesome.
Went to
Vastly overqualified to go hang out at Fort Riley. That's for dum-dums like me. Just kidding, Fort Riley people. We're great. We crush it.
That's
where you were.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
I was 2 ABCT out there, which, yeah.
It's
yes,
an
I was out there.
armored division.
Armored Brigade
Tanks.
Combat Team. Yep, Daggers, 118 Infantry, Battalion. We hung out, went to Europe.
I always get it
And
mixed up. Do you say "oorah"?
No.
"Hua"?
We say hua. Marines say
All
oorah.
right.
Okay, so I couldn't remember.
I was gonna try to throw
also
that in
don't
there real
say
quick, but
"hua"
I was
a
like gonna
lot.
do the wrong one.
Okay.
You say it like ironically more often than not.
Right.
Like, if I'm asking a soldier, hey, make sure you clean up that spill. I'll be like, hua, sir. It's more like, I hate you.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can be conveyed. There can be like a really positive hua, but there's also
All right.
you can
The
The inflections mean
exactly.
something.
Gotcha.
Inflections mean
Okay.
a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. Do you know he's this is probably way overplayed and you're probably tired telling the story, but your finger. Tell us about the adversity there with your finger.
Oh yeah. I tried to deadlift a side skirt on a tank. I was pointed out to you when we were on the way out, but it's like this big old Johnny. It's probably about 1,000 pounds. Me and some of my soldiers were trying to move it on to something else because it had got knocked off the tank. And what we should have done was wait for a piece of heavy machinery to pick it up. But I believed in soldier power, and I believe in my own strength. I still do to this day.
You're a really good deadlifter.
I am. Not good enough, apparently. So the thing fell down.
Was it that you weren't good enough or your team wasn't quite good enough? Just kidding.
No. It was definitely me.
I was
Me
gonna
and
say.
some of the guys had picked it up, and so it like hinged right here, and we were like, "Hey, we got to flip it." Oh, this whole idea. Whenever I tell this, I'm like, "What were you thinking?" Like none of this made any sense. The idea was to flatten it out and then flip it over, and then use the hinges with us to lift it up onto the Humvee. So it was involving, and it's like 1,500 pounds total of all this thing. We got like 20 guys around there trying to pick it up, and so after I'm telling the guys like, "Hey, we got to set it down," I'm telling the plan. I had like 5 dudes help me pick up this part, and they all had stepped back to like, take notes, just like really bask in the fact that Lieutenant Chandler Smith was giving them instruction. They were like, "Wow, we're so lucky." Like, great. So, and as they're stepping back and listening, only a few of them decided to help me lower it down. It's me and 2 other guys, and everything starts slow motion. Like from this point in the story, I was seeing it in bullet time. So me and 2 of the other guys, like one of the guys, like as we're lowering it, he's like, "Man, this is heavy. I'm out." Like, "You got this." And then, so it's me and the other guy, and I'm looking at the other guy like we're like struggling because it's like coming down faster. This all probably happened in this split instant,
Right.
but there you could see it in the eyes. And like the other guy's like, "I'm helping, but actually, I remember you love to deadlift. Like, why would I rob you of this opportunity to work on your
PR.
strength?" So
Yeah.
he's like, "You got this," and he bailed out and did not tell me that he was bailing out. So I was the last to make it out. But the good news is most of me made it out in time. We left behind.
Of that, how did that finger?
Great
you got lucky
question.
you didn't lose all of them.
More
huh?
of them. Yeah. I'll have to replay that one.
Yeah, I
at
don't.
the
Yeah,
end of the-
I don't
whenever
know.
it's all
Now
said
that
and
you're
done.
telling that story, I'm like, man, I don't even know.
Yeah, somehow it only hit this one. I
Yeah.
remember like I shook my hand. It was in this glove. I like shook my hand. I was like, because it was like kind of a cold day, and like you get a stinger, you hit something
Yeah.
cold, it hurts way
Yeah,
worse.
like just the tip of your finger.
I shake it. I was like, man, what a bummer. And I'm like looking at my hand. I'm like, this is like crazy because my glove is missing part of the glove, and I was like, but that can't work because my finger's in that part of the glove. So clearly the glove is being silly. It's playing a game, and I was like, oh man, what if? I was like, well, let's take it off to be sure. Even though because this is gone, I started to do the math,
Yeah.
and I took it off, and the finger was under there.
Wow.
Yeah,
Was this your idea too? I mean, you were the.
it was not my idea.
Okay.
But
All right.
follow orders.
All
Roger.
right.
You were saying you
I
were
was
the
going
one
to
in
say,
charge?
Lieutenant Smith, was this your thing?
Yeah, no, but it's all good. I think it ended up, like they talk about traumatic growth or things like turning into, setbacks, turning into setups or whatever. Like it helped me out a lot for really deciding that I wanted to pursue the fitness thing at a more serious level than I had before because it was going to require a lot more dedication and time, especially as we were getting ready to rotate over to Europe. And we were in Bulgaria for 9 months, and I had a lot of time to train, and I could have spent that time doing something silly like studying for business school or bettering myself emotionally, but instead I did burpees. And so
it's going to require a lot better deadlift.
Yep. I'm better at it now, so
there you go.
It all worked out.
It all worked out. How long ago was that? I remember actually when that happened. I remember the post. You made a post about it.
2.5 years. Yeah, I said, feel bad for me. I lost my finger when
I was only 2.5 years ago?
I don't think it was like that, but I remember.
It was like
I
that.
remember the post. Was it?
3.5. 2017. February 22nd.
I think I just remember you saying like you ended your season or something like that, or your season was ended, or I can't remember.
It was ended.
I do remember the post.
Yeah, I was being a real baby. I should have never put that picture up too. People were like, "This is gross."
Oh,
yeah.
People are soft.
I've grown up.
Yeah.
If I ever lose another finger, I'll handle it way better.
Let's hope that.
At least you got a plan.
Yep.
Let's hope that does not happen. But
We're hoping hard, hoping, praying.
That's good.
What other good Army stories do you have? Anything that you can tell here?
You're allowed to tell.
Not getting in trouble and
Good Army stories. I got a few.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have none?
you got so many
Nothing
stories.
Like that.
It's
That's
just
like I don't have any.
Oh,
I dropped something and chopped off a limb.
it's tough to follow up on.
Tough to follow.
Yeah.
That's
That
a
was
hard.
was
one.
that in Bulgaria or where was that?
No, that was in Fort Riley,
Oh, okay.
Kansas.
Oh,
Beautiful
there
Fort
you
Riley,
go.
Kansas. Yeah. Good memories
Yeah.
attached there.
Yeah, but you're from Kansas.
I'm from Kansas. Yeah, I actually had a sweet setup. I used to go. I love driving to go train with folks. That's something I've always done. I used to go hang out with Hep all the time out there. Just like 3 hours, come to hang out with you guys, hop, skip, and a jump. I think too often in the sport, like folks are like, it has to be my way all the time in their space, or they're not willing to go and like learn from other folks.
Yeah, for sure.
Try to.
So I knew your dad played in the NFL. He still coaches in the NFL?
Yep.
Okay, where at?
Assistant strength condition coach with the Broncos.
Oh, heck yeah. That's awesome.
So been around that my whole life.
Yeah. You're a Broncos
I'm a
guy.
diehard Bronco fan. They're just crushing my soul.
Where
this
did he
year.
play?
Not good. I played University of Florida for college, and then Vikings, Saints, and Redskins and Cardinals for 8 years.
Oh, okay.
8-year career.
Heck yeah.
Carved it out. Plenty of time to
Assistant
get a lot of
coach.
TBI.
Yeah.
Can put a lot of stuff over him. Doesn't catch it. Memory's real bad.
Yeah.
Broncos are better than Detroit, though. So
Detroit's the worst.
You're a Lions fan?
Yeah, Detroit's the worst franchise in all sports,
Yikes.
man.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
I 100% stand behind that comment. I mean, I love them, but they're terrible.
You guys convinced Barry Sanders
And
Calvin Johnson.
Yep, and we're ruining Matt Stafford. We've already ruined his career, basically. So,
Yeah. At least you're consistent. At least you can count on that, you know?
one good
consistently
year
bad.
in your entire life, you might have one good year.
Maybe.
I
I
don't
think
know.
we almost made it to the NFC Championship one year that Barry was there, I think. Maybe.
Yeah.
There's not many playoff wins.
You handle it well, though. You do good.
I mean, I'm a realist. They're terrible. I love them, but they're I watch every Sunday knowing exactly what's going to happen. We're going to Yeah, I got NFL Red Zone just because when I was a kid, I hated it because we couldn't watch any Lions games because they're never on. Only when, Monday Night Football or something. That was before even Thursday Night Football. And so I was like, when I make enough money that I can afford Red Zone where I can watch Lions games, I'm going to watch Lions games. So I watch every Lions game.
I think this is what they were talking about. They said, mo money, mo problems. Like you've just given yourself.
I know what's happening every Sunday. They're going to be up in the fourth quarter, and they're going to lose.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who's coaching them. It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Your Irish are all right this year, though.
They're all right. A little bit better than usual. So,
you guys do any other sports other than coming in here and crushing it? Anything else?
Watch them.
We play a lot of spike ball.
Nice. There you go.
Spike ball. I'm an amateur jiu-jitsu guy.
Okay.
Every now and then, like to roll. I'm kind of slowing it down because there's actually a lot of things in CrossFit that you're supposed to do at a high level, and I've mostly decided I didn't want to do all those, but it's kind of like part of the maturation process of being an athlete. It's like as much as I enjoy these other things, kind of got to take it seriously, but I was doing jiu-jitsu 3 times a week for the last 2 years. So
Where are you at rank-wise?
You know what's funny is I'm actually a 0-stripe white belt. I will take on any 0-stripe white belt on planet Earth because I've gym hopped for the last 8 years and haven't been consistent because the Army's asked me to move or just been in different places. So I've never ranked up in any capacity. So I'm technically like a beginner's beginner.
Are they similar belts to karate? I have no idea anything about jiu-jitsu. I should learn. But
I mean, sorta. I mean, generally.
White,
but yeah.
blue, purple, brown, black, red.
Yeah.
Okay, so red's top versus black, right? So karate is
red's
black.
like you have to be 1,000 years old. And
okay.
have consulted with jiu-jitsu masters on Mount Everest and stuff.
Right.
Gotcha.
Where's the kind of the most interesting place your military experience has taken you?
I mean, kind of all over. So deployment-wise, I think my favorite would be the Horn of Africa. Afghanistan's cool too, but I think in terms of like beauty and
Right.
uniqueness, the Horn of Africa was
It's the
awesome.
original sentence.
But what's that?
No one has ever probably said that sentence you just said there.
Hey,
About Afghanistan.
Murphy first.
I tried to ask the question. I said interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I definitely
Horn
think
of Africa.
the Horn of Africa was very interesting. A lot of things going on there. But awesome culture, a lot of cool places. It's just beautiful. Whereas a lot of places are just very, very individual. Afghanistan is Afghanistan. Doesn't change. Iraq's Iraq. Doesn't change. But I think for me that was.
You guys know Iraq,
Yeah.
Afghanistan. You've been,
Nope.
It's
Seen pictures
it's
and
all the
movies,
same.
but
Right.
they probably weren't even filmed in those places. But yeah,
How about you?
We went to so we were in Eastern Europe for 9 months. We bounced around between Poland and Germany and Bulgaria. Was most of our time, and then Romania. I liked Romania because they'd had not a lot of exposure to like American culture, so they came up to me and asked me if I was Michael Jordan, and I said no, but they didn't pick up on the no, so I got to take a lot of pictures. And to this day, there's a village in Romania. They probably got it framed up. They're like, this is when Michael Jordan, and they'll say Smith right there on my name tape. But they're like, when Michael Jordan came to town. So that was probably my
that's
most.
how you
favorite.
spell Jordan. I mean,
Yeah, different letters and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Close enough. Or I was
awesome.
in disguise too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
That's
Cool.
awesome.
To be honest, actually, I would say a lot of the things we do with this team would be
Yes.
my most unique memories
Yeah.
of being in the Army. We've traveled abroad with a lot of the teammates.
What
to-
events did you guys do? Did you guys do a bunch of sanctionals last year or last
they
couple
did
of
a few
years?
sanctionals last year.
R.I.P. But yeah.
Yeah, Filthy 150 and Wadapalooza, I think are the two.
what was that one in Tennessee we did? It was horrible. Oh, man.
Oh,
Oh.
that's
Oh.
right. Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
see the Tennessee
yeah.
countryside.
Yeah, I
Little
did.
bit.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Figured
Rogue
that was
at
a
the Shark
softball
Tank.
for you.
Yeah,
So-
sorry, I'm slow. I'm still skating off of like my reputation from a few years ago.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
All I could do was run for PT. So people are like, "Oh, you're
You're
fast,
really
right?"
good,
I'm like,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Didn't you almost fall coming across Rich's driveway in the mud?
Oh, remember it just rained
Nah.
and it was got a little slick coming through
There was a
there?
bunch of people that came across there and were sliding all
I
over the
definitely
place.
did. Yeah, I was
Because
joking.
they
I
had those,
definitely
they
fell.
had the turf shoes on, and so it was a
Uh-huh.
little less because it got a little. It was supposed to rain all morning, and didn't rain until the last
end.
little bit. Yeah, and we were like, "God dang it!" So
Didn't hurt anything though. My standards for like as long as whenever somebody gets hurt, I always say, is it still in your body? And if the answer is yes, then even for myself, if everything's still attached, then it's like, all right, you can't really complain.
I
So,
like it.
what do you think of the changes right now in CrossFit world? We kind of talked about this. You don't have to share
no, we're good.
everything you think, but
I think it's good for the growth of the brand, which long term is good for the growth of the sport and will help out athletes. The sanctional system was way better for us as athletes.
man, that's one thing I was a huge advocate against in the beginning, the sanctional system, but
It was
towards the
incredible.
end, I loved it.
We
But as an
got
athlete,
to travel. We got
get to
paid
compete
more. get to
multiple times,
pick your
like,
spots.
Yeah, and it was super confusing and all that, but the fact that you could, because what sucked was for so long you had the open, which you did at your house
Mhm.
or your gym, and it wasn't a way to really monetize or, as much as it's not about the money, it is about the money. You got to make a
For
living.
business, yeah.
And then regionals, you get one shot, and then the games. And that was your only time to showcase what you did. And so, man, I wish there was a way to figure out. I don't know. I mean, we're still kind of in the dark, which sucks as well that we're still in the dark, and it's
It's getting close
almost
enough where I'd like to
December.
know.
Yeah,
'Cause,
right.
Open training.
But everything was going to be
Yeah.
better and change, so
Maybe it's right around the corner.
maybe.
Relentless optimism,
Maybe.
just aggressive.
Maybe. So, yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. Just
It's
frustrated,
definitely
frustrated.
it's nerve wracking though because of how good sanctionals was. That any system that doesn't work in the same way, if there's not going to be any, you'll have one event between, or like a regional style event means that there's one opportunity to get paid from January to August. So like for athletes who'd been used to trying to professionalize or getting out of the Army and planning like my van.
Yeah, what are you
I don't
gonna?
know.
What kind of van? You went from like a Mercedes,
Sprinter.
really nice Sprinter
Grand
van
Caravan.
to like or like even worse, like a Dodge
Astro van.
an Astro van,
Yeah.
or what was the Ford Aerostar?
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never even heard of
Remember the
that.
Aerostar?
It sounds the way you're talking about it. It
Yeah, I'll
sounds
show
like
you a
my
picture.
price
They have
range.
those
though,
like
so I'll check
pop
it out.
roofs
Yeah.
on them.
It has
Yeah,
like the front of it is like the Chevy Lumina van. Remember that one too?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm dating myself, I guess, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's just frustrating. Like I said, at first I was against the sanctionals, but I liked them towards the end in the last couple of years. I was like, man, all right, this is cool that we get to compete more than just once. You know, it definitely had its flaws, and you looked at some of them and you were like, the programming on some of them were iffy. And then, you know, I don't know. It's just, I wish we could make that a better system. I don't even know. And they're talking about it, and the rumors that I'm hearing, I'm kind of like, it's basically privatized regionals is all you're doing. So making it where they're not paying for regionals. So I don't know.
I think and it's a hope, but if somehow the redirected, that money's redirected into like helping boost the image of the games or some other stuff, like long term, it could do a lot for the growth of the sport. But you know, being in the dark, this is the fourth year that the season will be different.
That's the frustrating part for me, and I'm just like over it at this point. You know, I've been doing it for 11 years, and I'm kind of like, why am I keep doing? Like everything's changed once, and then changed again, and you're just like, as much as it is, you know, first world problems with everything that's going on in the world.
Absolutely.
It's so frustrating when it's your livelihood and you're trying to figure it all out. So it's just annoying more than anything.
Fitness still wins though, and you're still heckin' fit.
There
trying
we go.
to build some fitness around here, and no matter what it is, like if you're ready for it, then you'll be ready. So.
Yep, I get it. But
have you decided where you're headed next? Is that something like when you get out of this, where's going to be home for you, and where you're going to train at, and all those things?
No, I'm still kind of open for whatever. I think if there's a lesson I've learned, so like within the Army, right, we're meticulous planners. You'll see things like, I'm sure they have an X check for our trip down to
for sure.
to 5th.
Yeah.
So like it'll be like by the hour, like this has to happen, and this triggers this next thing, and this triggers this next thing. And I think you know, I tried to live my life in that light. Like life doesn't apply to those standards.
Yeah.
So I've done.
But you've lived like that for so long that you're kind of like, I don't want to have that, you know?
Yeah, but like I've recognized it, and I'm like trying intentionally. I've called it the civilianizing process. Like I live with civilians for the first time since I've been, actually ever. And like just trying to learn how to let go and not have as much control of what is coming, because ultimately, like, you know, there's factors that are going to determine where I'm going outside of what I'm doing every time. So you know, just can control what's in my realm of control.
It's awesome to be in your spot and to be able to have those options and choices, though. You know, it'll be great.
Again, first world problems.
It's
incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How much you got left?
I have about 7 months left here.
Okay, you got a plan?
No, not yet. So the Army has this they call it the marketplace. And so you kind of throw your resume out there, and it's like a job finder.
Yeah.
The units that are requesting people are on there, and they can reach out and look at your resume and say, hey, like, we'd like to interview this guy, or we want him here in this position. So I'm currently in that kind of holding pattern, just waiting for somebody to reach out.
What's your ideal? What would you like to do?
So like Chandler said, I'm a logistics officer.
Yeah.
So we work all things support for.
So FedEx or UPS? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So if you need something to go from point A to point B, like we figure out how to get it there. So transportation piece, supply piece, maintenance piece. And so there's a lot of positions out there. We're going to go to 5th Special Forces Group. They have logistics officers that work for them.
Oh, nice.
And they're one of the most professional organizations out there. And so hopefully I can link into one of the Special Forces groups
nice.
And have that be my next position
Yeah.
as logistics officer.
Okay, so like, would it be a civilian logistics officer, or you want to like?
No, it'd be so I'm still So I'll be in after this position, staying in the military.
Okay, gotcha.
And so a couple more years on my captain.
I was about to say,
time.
how many more years do you have?
Yeah, so I have about 2 more years on my captain time before
Okay.
I'm looked at for major.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then so
I
trying to
thought
fill
you
that
meant you were
position.
out in 6 months. Okay, gotcha.
Nope,
So you're
off this team. Yeah, so this team's like a 2-year assignment for the officers.
Gotcha.
And so I'm coming up on that 2-year.
Gotcha.
So starting to look at other options.
Well, other options. That'd be cool.
How does somebody who's currently in the Army qualify for this job here? I mean, to be on the CrossFit team, how do you guys?
So this is the first time the team has been stood up. We're part of that first team. And so right now we're looking at what the requirements will be for the future team and how they want the team makeup to be, whether they're going to add slots for things like obstacle course racing or power lifters.
Nice.
And so we're kind of going through that plan right now. We have 2 of the athletes on the team working with our command to make sure that they look at all the options available and see how best we can reach the American public with the next team. So we're kind of waiting to hear those details, but we get a lot of questions about that. And so we kind of
what are the so like people? I guess guys that go to any of the academies and they go NFL or wherever, they still serve, or are they out of their
It's
contract?
one of those things that switched up a
Or is it
bunch
kind of the same
over
for you
the.
to, like,
It's a little different for us because we're not like a pro sport.
Okay.
Because I tried this back in 2016.
Yeah.
And
Shot down, huh?
Yeah, it didn't work out. It was the right call. I definitely wasn't even good enough or didn't need to do it. But like it's only recently President Trump changed it. I think 2 years ago. The Army team was actually at the White House they have like a dinner because they won the All Academy Trophy.
yeah,
I messed up the name of it.
The President's Cup, right? Or no, I guess
Commander-in-Chief.
Commander-in-Chief. Yeah.
Commander-in-Chief
Yeah,
trophy.
man, I'm a bad West Pointer. And they won it, and like somebody had asked, but it had gone back and forth. In the last decade, it's probably switched 3 or 4 times because there's the amount of time and energy they put into training you as a cadet or midshipman makes you a tough asset to replace, especially for something that is seen as kind of like a selfish pursuit. But I think there's a lot of we've shown it too with what we do. Like there's a lot of potential for good.
Heck yeah, recruitment.
And, connecting with the American public in ways that you can't necessarily pay for with like ad buys or anything. Like just trying to be genuine and like putting a face to something versus just having to be a straight up like ad campaign of Army Strong or
right.
Be all you can
Army
be
of one. Army of one.
We switch it up. We keep people on their toes.
I think, I mean, seriously, that really works because I didn't really know who you were, and I'd been around a lot of CrossFit, and to see you in the position that you're in and competing and a part of the military, it was a big deal. I think that really works.
Oh shit!
I think that's
Thanks.
Well, and I think one of the things that we were talking about earlier when you asked the question, like, what do recruiters have problems with right now? I think one of the big things is just people's want to serve. And they see the lifestyle that's projected in a lot of movies and commercials and things of that nature. And they say, like, that's not the lifestyle for me. But we're here to show that, like, you do have that lifestyle outside. And so just getting people wanting to serve, like, I think he's saying that there's plenty of opportunities to do that, whether that's being an athlete in the NFL or being a CrossFit athlete outside of just the day-to-day Army service.
I think it's more showing, and because of like how many jobs are available and everything, like there's a way to pretty much no matter what your passion is, there's a way to pursue it like through the Army or in the Army. And again, like people just like kind of think it's you go and you deploy and everyone has a gun, everyone walks a bunch and everything, but there's a million other things you can be doing or could be. So
yeah, I think in the culture we live in, there's a lot of struggles out there with whether it's drugs, alcohol, And so those, do they still take the ASVAB test? Is that still a thing?
Yep.
So I know for me coming up and being able to look at somebody who's successful in that environment was an important thing.
Yeah.
When you were deciding, 18, 19 years old, here's who I am and here's what I want to do in my life. So
that's the coolest part too. Like is the opportunity to be a role model, like connecting, and not just a role model for the general public, which is awesome, and that's a responsibility we all take, and like. Really hold in high regard, but because our lifestyle is kind of exclusive, like 99% of the American public, isn't serving, we're able to at least showcase Army talent at the highest level and kind of be able to connect with the active duty or reserve National Guard populations in a way that like folks who maybe aren't in the same position can, and like that's something really special too because we don't have as many opportunities for role models who like kind of live that same lifestyle. So
there's no like Navy midshipman fitness team, is there? Do you guys ever like throw down or anything? No.
The 2 academies do have their teams.
Okay.
And
2
we
academies. Ouch. There's 3.
Sorry.
Yeah.
3 academies. The Air Force doesn't currently have a team, but Navy and West Point, they do have
like a CrossFit.
their CrossFit teams, and we actually ran a competition last year at the Army-Navy game.
I bet the Coast Guard has one.
I don't know.
D3?
I think Navy won, to be honest. That's actually kind of what Yeah, I was gonna say they did. That's back in 2012. It's what kicked off like my competitive CrossFit career. I did that competition before Army Navy out in Philadelphia, and this guy Mike Macbeth, he was nice enough. He was like, "Hey, if you ever wanna, you did pretty well. If you ever wanna come train, like feel free to come back." And he didn't know that I was actually a lunatic, so showed back up like 2 weeks later. He was like, "Oh, you're early," and then I just kept showing back up all the time, and it's kind of where I learned to get competitive. So I owe a lot to that competition.
Nice. Okay.
Like I don't know if that's the path that the next generation is going to take, but I think again the lessons that you're learning in the gym are building you up to be somebody who's able to withstand kind of some of the uncertainties or difficulties that you'll face in the high pressure situations you'll be in as an Army leader or the physical exertion that'll be asked out of you in something like Ranger School or like Special Forces assessment and selection or any of the other things that the Army throws at you. So it's not necessarily like about the same story. It's just about creating people, like getting people who are ready to do hard things, because you're talking culturally. Like I think it's something that there's less and less of a requirement for people to do hard things, you know? Like,
for sure.
So
Yeah, I think it definitely, like you're saying, kids and like younger adults aren't playing sports, aren't getting outside, aren't doing things, and I think definitely got to figure out a way to get that back ingrained, I guess, in culture. It's just a weird, for me, it just is unfathomable. Like my kids and my parents, the way my parents raised us, it was like, if it was light outside, you were outside,
Yeah.
Like if you come inside, I'll find you something to do. So
Yep.
it's hard for me to, I guess, not connect, but just to figure
Do y'all
it out.
have any like community things like to help get the kids to Cookville outside? Or?
Yes, well, so we have the Mustard Seed Ranch, which we've done that event with. We had those kids come over some, but no, it's a good idea. We need to start doing something like that. We have obviously kids classes, teens classes. I think we even have a pre-teens class now, because the teens, it's a little bit different. Like a preteen and a teen are
Absolutely.
but they're more than a kid. So it's something we're trying to work on. But yeah, that's definitely an area that needs to be done. So. You want to come to Cookville and run that?
Whoa. No pressure.
Rich, talk just a little bit while we're here in this environment about how you feel about kids and sports and playing all sports.
Oh, yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve is when kids are like, I'm going to quit playing whatever to do CrossFit. And I'm like, I'm going to smack you upside your head, because there's so many valuable life lessons, fitness lessons, but life lessons that I learned playing sports and growing up in sports, and just how to work with other people. And there's things that I've learned, honestly, from my time being on a team in CrossFit, like how to, just how different people are motivated. Like as a kid, playing high school baseball and then a little bit of college, I'm more of a lead by example type guy, but you still have to learn how to motivate different people, because I've learned so much on a team competing in CrossFit. Just, stuff that I never really thought about, I guess, growing up, because it was always single-sex teams. And so now the mixed gender thing, too, is night and day for me, because I'm like, I'm not a nurturer by it's not my spiritual gift. And so that's something that I'm still not a nurturer, but I'm at least better at it, where usually when the girls would cry in the beginning, I would just walk away, like, awkwardly, like, I'm out of here, duck out. So I've gotten better with that. But, yeah, it's definitely something that I've had to learn. But
Well, and I think it's one of those things Chandler touched on earlier as well, is how much team sports carry over into not only CrossFit, but military service. And you see the people who have good careers and make the most of it, or those who grew up in team sports. Because largely in part, there's not a lot of jobs where you're just an individual. It's all teamwork and all team-based and serving a greater good. And so you see that a lot in military service, and you see those who didn't come from that background and see how much of a struggle it is. So
for sure,
I understand where that's coming from.
What kind of encouragement would you guys give somebody who would be listening based on your military experience?
I'd say continue to be consistent in whatever it is that you're doing. I think like whenever anybody gives me advice or like asks for advice regarding anything, no matter what their passion is, I think consistency is the thing that wins out above all. And how that is mostly borne out is continuing to do whatever it is when it's no longer easy. I think you see a lot of people, even within military service, coming in with ambitions to do X or Y, and then their focus changes, and their focus changes to the second thing, and their focus changes again to where they end up never really like building mastery or skills of the things that they intended to do, because they lost sight of their focus. So if there is something that you have set in your heart to really pursue, consistency is the only way that you're going to get to that point, and that oftentimes means like going through an obstacle in order to continue to pursue whatever it is you're pursuing. But just like don't get diverted. I think it's very easy. There's infinite diversions out there, things that are easily available or just going to present an easier path to where you want to go. But if you are consistent, I think that's the most rewarding part of the path that I've seen so far, is starting watching the games in 2012 and saying I want to go to the games, and there's been all sorts of situations where I don't have access to training equipment or didn't have the time I wanted to, or my focus had to go elsewhere, but I feel like this current state where I'm in a position to be a full-time fitness athlete and able to use what I've built with my fitness to help more people than I ever imagined. It's kind of like a feeling of, it's not complete yet, but a feeling of like achievement, knowing that I maximize my potential or have been working to maximize my potential. That's maybe the best feeling available, and the only reason I was able to do that was because of consistency. So.
What you got? Follow that up.
Yeah, no, that's hard. I think
I'm
you followed
sorry.
it up. Just knowing your why, knowing why you want to serve, because there are a lot of challenging aspects. And so as you stay consistent, know your why, know why you want to serve, you'll get through that easy. But also knowing that what we do, and outside of CrossFit, our jobs outside of CrossFit, you can't look at that. You can't look at our lifestyles and say, I don't like the Army because of that or because of something you've seen on TV. The Army offers hundreds of job opportunities, and everybody's job is different, and everybody's lifestyles are different. And so if you're scared of having a hard lifestyle, it's what you make it. So don't join because you think it's going to be too hard or you don't like the lifestyle that you've seen portrayed, because it is what you make it, and there's a lot of things you can do. So
That's awesome.
Awesome.
You guys ready to join now?
Yeah, I'm in.
All
I
right,
think I'm
sign it
past. I think I'm past the age.
I'm
now.
way past the age. They don't have jobs for grandpas.
They don't.
we'll waiver it.
We'll waive
Just
it.
waiting for everything.
Just waiver
There
for
we go.
everything.
All right, if you can move me right
Okay.
to at least colonel, I'm in.
There we go. We got
Do you
it.
have? Are you a doctor in any sort of field?
You gotta think about it.
I can't get
Which
one.
one am I to do?
I play one on a podcast.
Okay, well that could be. Again, there's a waiver for everything. So
Maybe I can be a chaplain. That's
There
it.
you go,
I
chaplain.
swear too
Chaplain's
much.
assistant.
I swear too much.
those
Chaplain's
are
assistant.
not colonels, boss.
No.
Those
These
are
are
like
chaplains.
specialists.
There are
No,
very few chaplain colonels.
that's what I'm saying. So a chaplain's assistant would definitely not be a
I
colonel.
could
That's right.
fall
He
out
said
of an
he wanted to
airplane.
be.
Well, we're gonna find that out here pretty soon.
I hear that's going to
With
happen
or without
tomorrow.
a chute.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, well.
either flying or you're falling.
You said you were never gonna do it, and then you're gonna do it, huh?
Yeah. I
Peer
feel
pressure's a hell of a drug.
it
huh?
really is. I'm very afraid of not looking cool in front of you. I already fell off the
You don't have
toast
to.
bar.
I
before
didn't see
you
that video. I
did.
didn't see that video. Oh, on that.
Yeah. Well, no, not when I fell. I'm talking
Okay.
today.
Today.
Today I dropped before I could fall. I wasn't gonna give you the satisfaction of watching me fall off the
I
bar.
would not have been. I would not have been satisfied if I saw that.
It's really a tough fix. Have you ever fallen off? Like your grips failed mid
No, I
toast
give
bar?
up way before that. Man.
I've
like-
learned. Fool me once.
I've fallen off a rope pretty famously, though.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's
that's a
seen
good
that
point.
one.
Yeah.
Everybody's seen
Also,
that one.
speaking of things, I did that rope workout with you. Also lost that. So I was like, I'm not gonna lose the plane jumping competition. I'll probably find a way to you'll probably get to the ground before me, and I'll be upset or something.
no.
Cut away.
Cut away. Awesome. All right. End of episode.
Beat Navy
There you go.
every time.
Peace.